The next speaker, Jackie Mandyke, unfortunately could not make it. They called me, and they were at least an hour and a half away when they called because of the snow and the traffic conditions. So she sends her regrets. But the Department of Community and Economic Development and the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority played key roles also in making this development happen. If you look at the sources and use, the sources of financing for the project development in your fact sheet at the end, you will see that CHAFA came up with a combined total of about, well, both the permanent debt and the equity. The investor for the equity was National Equity Fund. I don't think anybody from that. Oh, hi, Esther. How are you? Esther Velez from the National Equity Fund is here. I was looking around for one of you. I'm sorry. Yeah, right. Yeah. You came all the way down from Providence, Rhode Island, didn't you? Yeah. Well. She runs the asset management office up there that actually is helping, is overlooking a lot of our financing and some of the details of our rent up and leases. But thank you for coming. But the National Equity Fund bought the tax credits that were were awarded to us by CHAFA. CHAFA also came up with the bond financing. And I would just like to have Dara Kovel, who is the Housing Development Director. I keep you getting your title. I want to call you the Executive Director and promote you, but if Dara could just speak for a few minutes about CHAFA's role here. Thank you.
Thanks, Ross. Well, as you all know, Tim Bannon has gone on to bigger and better things. He's now the Chief of Staff for the Governor Malloy. So in his absence, you can call me anything you want until we figure out the next thing. Good morning, everybody. I've been now at CHFA for about a year, and so I only got to understand the tail end of this development, but I did watch this project as it developed on the front end as a developer active in Fairfield County, and it's very exciting to be here and to see all the faces and to know that it now serves as home to so many families here in Norwalk. It's a very exciting moment. Fair Street Apartments is a success story and a shining example of how, when faced with challenges, state agencies, policymakers, private companies, and a group of committed individuals can get together and create a solution that has enormous public benefit. While this path for Fair Street may have been somewhat unusual and long and winding, as has already been alluded to, the lesson is that we are really, we're learning, this embodies what we know about affordable housing, which is it is of high quality, it is of comparable quality or better quality than market rate housing, and that while it is very difficult and challenging and painful sometimes to get to the cutting of the ribbon, it is always worth it. And so I congratulate all of you who have been a part of that. Some of the unique features of Fair Street have already been enumerated. This property exists obviously in one of the most expensive housing markets in the country in Fairfield County. It offers an affordable home not just to those with lower incomes struggling in the current economic crisis, but also to 6 veterans and their families who may have a disabled member, and 5 families who are either homeless or at risk of homelessness, which is an incredible achievement in and of itself. Moments like this give us a wonderful opportunity to view housing from a variety of different perspectives. Whether your field is as an investor, a lender, a developer, a service provider, a public official, a contractor, or any other angle that you may approach this, we all have a professional and a personal interest in ensuring the affordability and availability of housing across the state of Connecticut. Here are some statistics from Norwalk from 2009. In Norwalk in 2009, 147 single adults were in shelters, 13 families were in shelters, and 37 individuals were on the streets and chronically homeless. Now that 37 number is actually a 154% increase from 2008. So this economic crisis has had its impact and is making it harder and harder for people to access housing and have a quality, safe, protected environment to live their lives and to do what they need to do to get themselves stable. Beyond the issue of homelessness, the one-bedroom apartment in 2009 was, or 2010 was $1,440 in Norwalk, and you had to make, your median income was $57,600. So these are pretty high numbers in this economic climate, and those numbers make housing out of reach for many families and households, both those who are working and those who are struggling to get back into the workforce. When housing and associated costs, such as transportation, utilities, are affordable, families have more income to spend on services and other local goods, which is good for our economy. The location of this development is obviously a great location to have housing. It makes it attractive to renters here, but it also is part of the state's responsible growth objectives of trying to create housing in places where there are already urban centers near services, near shopping and other activities that the renters can benefit from. So this is a great location, and all those things have a positive impact on energy consumption, reduce our carbon impact and congestion, and all the negative health consequences associated with people spending too much time in their cars. From an employer's perspective, lack of affordable housing can put a local economy at a competitive disadvantage. So we specifically commend the mayor and the city council for having supported this development. It shows a commitment both of the state of Connecticut, the local city and business leaders to increase the opportunities for workforce housing and create an engine that will drive economic development here in the state and here locally. Our investment and the investment of approximately $13 million created $17.6 million in economic activity and 100 new jobs in construction. This is obviously very critical in a time like this when we need to be creating more jobs, so affordable housing is a means to that. And according to the National Association of Home Builders, now that these homes are 100% occupied, there are approximately 20 ongoing jobs that support the residents who live here in the local goods, services, and economy that support the residents. So I congratulate all of you on the success of a very complex and exciting development. I specifically congratulate the residents for finding a home. I want to again recognize the mayor and the city council and Senator Duff, as well as Representative Morris, Perone, and Cafaro, who I know have all sort of had some leadership role here. Also, Joan McDonald, who is obviously going on to bigger and more challenging things. I would not want to be the head of New York's Department of Transportation, no matter how much you offered me. And also to recognize the Veterans Affairs, Preston Maynard, who I think just arrived, and the Department of Health and Mental Addiction Services. Barbara Geller was a great leader in creating support on the operations side and services. Mary Katernak and Paulette Barrett from the Department of Social Services. So these things all these people coming together have made this possible. Our staff at CHFA, Nancy O'Brien, Carl Stenman, who could not be here because of the traffic, and a host of others also were very dedicated and worked with everyone here to make this happen. So congratulations again. We look forward to being a continued part of Connecticut's growth and more success stories to come. Congratulations, Ross.